Welcome back to Your Scale Modelling. This is part 2 of MasterBox's figures for Chuck and Helen. The scale is 1/24. Now, as explained in the first part, I'm going to be throwing these into a diorama, and I'll make a start on that diorama in this part. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. So there's going to be multiple parts to this diorama, and what I've got here is a piece of old foam board, just an off-cut that I've had lying around, and I've cut off some dowel rods, and I'm just going to be marking out the sort of area that I'm looking at to build. As you can see there, I've got the beholder, that'll be going in between two pillars, which the dowels will make up. Obviously, I've not started the beholders at this stage. So the idea is to have the two main figures in a fighting pit. So I've just got this old CD, and I'm using that as a circle. If you don't have anything like that, just use a compass to get your markings if you're going to be doing something like this. And as you can see there, I'm just carrying on, marking out on the foam board where I want certain things. Now, this foam board is actually only going to make up the inner part of the base of the diorama. So I can write on it, draw on it, whatever I like. So it's time to start building now. So I'm going on to the columns or pillars that I've decided to build. And these are very, very simple to do. I'm just cutting off a bit of dowel here. And once I've cut off a few, I'm just checking on my markings to see how they all look. So as you can see, there's they're going to go down the side of the circle area, and they're going to be various heights on the way down. Each column's got to sit on a plinth, so I've got a little bit of plastic art here, and as you can see, I've already marked out the area that I want each individual plinth to be. And it's simply two squares, one larger than the other, to build up a very simple looking plinth. If you do this and you want it to be a different shape of that, you can just say you want it to be round. You can just snip off the corners and file it into a circle if you wish. But I'm happy just with the square. So all I'm doing is cementing the smaller part onto the larger part. I don't think the camera will pick it up too well. I'll then secure each piece of dowel onto the plinth just by using a little bit of super glue. And I'll be doing the same with the top with the piece of dowel, but the little square at the top is a smaller part, and there's only one at this stage. And that'll just make up a basic column. Here I'm using Humbrol's 83 Orchid to paint a strip of balsa wood. This is a very small wood that modelers build. It can easily be just cut with a knife or anything like that. And I'm just cutting off little sections of it. And these will form the edges of the fighting pit. So it's back to the column, and I'm putting a base coat on here, and I'm using Humbrol's 130 white satin. Now, this colour I'm putting on, I'm purposely putting it on quite thin, and the aim here is to get some of the wood grain to show through. I'm trying to make this look a little bit like stone as much as possible, so a thin coat of paint with the wood coming through will help with that process. So when the paint's dry, and if I've done it properly, you should see the paint, the wood grain coming through the paint. I'll just turn my light off. The camera may pick it up a little bit better. Yeah, you can see it there, just coming through. And as I said, that's going to be part of the process to make it look a little bit like stone. Next, I have a piece of wire here, and I'm just stretching it over a clamp, and I'm going to be painting this with Rebel Art Colour 62 Mossy Green. Now, the thought here is, on the larger columns, I'm going to have a sort of vine-like thing spiraling around the column. I may change that idea. I'm just deciding whether, at this point, whether I should do it or not, but I'm just prepping it anyway, just in case. So it's back to the base, and as you can see there, I've cut out the foam board into a little square. Now I've got to stiffen this up. So what I'm going to be doing is got this old cutting mat, and I'm just going to be cutting that to the shape of the foam board. And then using some super glue, I'm just going to attach the foam board to the old cutting mat. And this just makes everything a lot more solid and stable. Next, I'm taking the little strips of balsa wood that I cut and painted, and I'm gluing these all around the circle that I marked with the CD to form the border of the fighting pit. And this border will have two layers, so the initial layer and one stacked on top, and it's stacked like brickwork, so each one overlays the joint on top. So now the fighting pit border is on and dry, it's time to make the cover for the base. And this is a sheet of plastic card, and as you can see there, I've used the CD to mark out the area once more. Now the area that I need to cut out is slightly larger than the CD because the fighting pit was the size of the CD, so I just have to enlarge it slightly. So I'm just taking the CD up to the corners. I've measured this out already using a protractor, and I'm just scoring around the CD to make the cut. And I'll just carry that all the way around until I can remove the piece that I want, and it should just pop out there. So there you can see the hole, and this is going to be laid over the top of the foam board. And I'll check it for fit just to make sure everything's alright. Now obviously you can do this with wood or other materials, but I like using things that I've got to hand, hence why I'm making it up like this. But as you can see, it fits very snugly around the fighting pit, and this is what I'm looking for. So it's back to the column, and I'm just wrapping this wire around the one of the main columns just to see how it looks. I'll probably leave it on. I sort of like it. It breaks up the pillar a little bit. So it's back to the base, and as you can see, I've primed the plastic card using grey primer, and now I'm just using my ruler and pencil to make out a grid pattern on the base. I'm looking for it to look like flagstones. And once I'm happy with the pattern, then I can make that more permanent, and I'm just using my tool to scrape along the edge of my hard roll here to permanently mark in the flagstones. So I'm effectively just scribing in the marks like you would do for panel lines. So now I've got to paint this, and I'm going to be making it look like marble and a sort of stone effect. It's quite a unique process, this, and you may have not seen it done before. So first of all, I'm using an old brush here, and I'm using Humbrol's 83 ochre once more, and I'm putting a thin coat all over this first of all. Now, if you're going to try this, do not worry about it being neat. In fact, you don't want it to be neat. You want to be organic. So if you've got brush strokes and you think, well, that's a bit unsightly, that's all going to add to the texture of your floor. And I should ask, you cannot do this with an airbrush. It has to be done with a hairy stick like I'm doing. So as you can see, the paint has gone on. It's thin in places, much thinner in other places. That's all part of the weathering and process. Now once it was dried, I used a pencil and went over the grid to darken up the grid slightly. And then it's back to Humbrol 130 Satin White. Now I should point out, I decanted the Humbrol paint, put it in another container, hence why the blue cap, and thinned it down. So what I'm doing here is I've got an old stiff brush, and I've put the paint on the brush and taken away most of the excess on the brush and dabbing it onto the surface. And once that's on, I'm using my finger then to tap onto the surface and just tapping it, creating little textures as I go along. So as you can see there, it's getting blended in with my finger. And I'll carry on the entire process like that over the whole board. I want different thicknesses of paint and different textures. So depending on how firmly I press my finger and while I'm tapping it will dictate the different textures on the card, plastic card. So I'm coming to the end of it now, and you can see where the paint's dried. And this takes quite a long time, I should point out. As you can see, the paint's dried on one end. You can see the stone effect coming through. Now that the paint is completely dry, I can fit the plastic card onto the foam board. And again, I'm using a little bit of super glue just to secure it. And once that's all on, I'm using a little bit of white glue inside the fine pit, and then I'll be sprinkling on some ballast that you can pick up from any hobby shop or online, of course. It's what railway modelers use for their railway ballast. And this is where I'll end part 2. So it's quite a lot going on here, quite a lot of process. This actually took a course about 3 days to do in total. And the actual drying time for this last part took a couple of days as well. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you go and check out the channel for my other builds? There may be something there that'll pique your interest. If not, give me a shout, leave a message or something, and I'll see if I can build something that you want to see. I may not be able to do it straight away, but I'll certainly look into it. So I'm always open for suggestions. So if you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. That way you'll be kept up to date with this build and all my future builds as well, of course. Hit the like button. And please leave a comment. I like to hear from you guys and hear what you think about the builds or any areas where you think I may be able to improve. And on that note as well, share the video. Let's get it out there and see what happens. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed part 2, and I'll see you on the next part. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.